joining us here today. And just quickly, yes, it is HTB. Hold the ball, HTB. Hope you guys are well. I'm joined here. Actually, you guys wouldn't even believe this, actually. Quite literally, I think we had about 15 seconds to really introduce each other. Here we are, smack bang in the middle of it. So I just want to thank Dummyhalf Podcast as well as Revill for joining me. Let them do their own individual introductions. But for now, over to you, Dummyhalf Podcast.
Hey guys, thanks again for having me, bro. I appreciate it, and hope that Sam feels welcome as well, and hope we can have a good chat about all things rugby league.
Awesome, as and over to you, Sam.
Howdy, everyone. I'm Sam. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And trust me, I'm talking to two blokes that are rugby league tragics like myself, so I'm definitely feeling comfortable straight up. I'm really excited to get into the conversation tonight, guys.
Bro, I support the Warriors. Is there anything more tragic? Okay, so ball and all chat. All right, so again, thank you guys for coming, guys in the chat. I will definitely get to it for now. But this is the 22nd episode of Ball and All Chat. They pop up. Hopefully it does. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is the 22nd episode of Ball and All Chat, where I talk about all things NRL, basically. It's not necessarily team-specific focus. It's just general yarn about rugby league NRL as is. And this is the 22nd episode. I usually do record it, but sometimes on the odd occasion, I've gone live. But fellas, I have a game here for you guys. It's called HTB or not for me, right? So HTB means yes, not for me means no. And I've got a couple of little, statements there that you guys will either disagree with or agree with. You guys ready?
Bring it on.
All right. First one. Oh, sorry, guys.
Oh.
Manly fall out of the 8 this year. So is it HTB or not for me?
HTB.
I know it's early. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it's early, but it's all contextual. But yeah, give me your thoughts. Yeah.
Not for me. Not for me. Hold the ball. I think based off of last year and even Cowboys of 2015, who started 0-3, and then Manly who started 0-4. They just got their first win after the first 3 rounds last weekend. Manly, they are still a concern defensively, I feel, but I think they can definitely come back into form, bro, and make it into the top 8. There's still plenty of time left.
Okay, over to you, Dummyhalf Podcast.
Yeah, I have to agree with Sam. I think that, you look at their history, especially last year as well. Obviously, they struggled mightily in the opening weeks, managed to pull it all together. Obviously, got Tommy Trbojevic back. That helped a lot, but they really came together as a team. Got a lot of direction from Kieran Foran and Daly Cherry Evans, veteran halves. Led them around the park with their young forwards as well. Really came and tied in together nice and as a team unit. And I think that they'll find their way back to the top 8 again this year.
Yeah, look, for myself, I think I guess the team that is Manly, you're surely confident they will. In saying that, though, look, the way I'm sort of on the fence. I don't know. I really need to see how they pan out against the Raiders. But the way it's looking for me, I don't know. Like, I mean, sure, yeah, but then I'm sort of like really 50-50 about this. I don't really know. And I think that's probably a very scary thing if you're a Manly fan. I'm personally not. Yeah, I'm just unsure. I'm a bit unsure. All right, guys. So the next one here. Warriors at home will make them or us a better team. HTB or not for me?
Hold the ball, mate. Hold the ball on that big time. It's not something that's nice to think about or talk about, but you remember how they played against the Bulldogs a couple of years ago, a couple of days after the awful terrorist attacks in Christchurch. They came out and absolutely smashed the Bulldogs that weekend. This is going to be an even more emotional stage when the time comes, allegedly early July against the West Tigers out there at Mount Smart. The Warriors would feel, I'm fair dinkum when I say this, they could field a New South Wales Cup level side and they'll still beat whoever put out in front of them, bro. They are going to be so emotional and up for this game, mate. I cannot wait to see it, and I think it'll be, I know I'm just spitballing and rambling on a little bit, sorry, but I think it will be the best moment in the NRL throughout 2022 when it happens, bro. Hold the ball definitely for sure. They'll be a better team.
Oh, dude, my eyes are gonna tear up, bro. Dummyhalf podcast, your turn.
Yep, hold the ball. Especially those boys, the Kiwi boys, Bunty Afoa and Eliusi Katoa and all those boys. They're keen to get back, I'm sure. And even younger guys like Taniela Otokola, they're all young guys. They're not used to being away from home for this long, and obviously they're feeling a little bit homesick, miss their families, miss their mates, miss their friends, and it's a real trying time for all of them. But I think that that coming home weekend is just going to be an absolute it's going to be an absolute massacre in my opinion. I think that just the emotion and the pride that the boys will feel returning to Mount Smart Stadium is going to be a sight to behold, and I can't wait to see that game. That's for sure.
Awesome, as look, awesome answers. I agree as well. I won't dive too deeply into this, but for me personally, I agree. I think it goes without saying you do need to play at home. Obviously, granted, thanks to Moreton Bay, they were playing there, but ultimately home is home, and yeah, I think we should do all right. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys. So the next one here, Tigers lose tomorrow and coach is sacked. HTB or not for me?
Oh wow, I disagree. I disagree. I don't think I'm not going to hold the ball on that one, mate. I think though they have probably about 7 weeks. I reckon Madge has probably got about 7 weeks until Magic round in round 10.
Yep. Yourself, Dummyhalf podcast?
Yeah, I'm going to say not for me as well. I think that they're fairly committed to Michael Maguire, and especially for this year, I think they're probably going to see it out. It might not be pretty, but I think that he's a premiership winning coach. I think that he does know what he's doing, what he's talking about. I just think the club culture really needs to change. There needs to be a dramatic shift and push the momentum in the other direction. I think that they do believe in Michael Maguire, and I see why. But at the same time, I think that you're kind of beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah, okay. No, that's well said. Look, for me personally, I mean, I think the question comes down to how long can Tigers really take this? You mentioned as well just before there, Sam, the 7-week period. Week 4, if they lose tomorrow, that's not enough. If they lose the week after that, that's not enough. I mean, for me, where do you sort of draw the line? Where do you sort of draw the line in regards to the pride of your club? Your fans who are aching to see some sort of change. That's where I'm sort of coming at. For me, Tigers lose tomorrow, coach is sacked. Look, I'm going to lean on HTB. I think personally we might see something drastic. I don't know. That's just me. I don't mind the drama. I think we might see it. But that's the little thing. But I just quickly, on the same subject as the Tigers, what are your thoughts here as well? Probability to backflip on the Tigers, HTB or not for me?
No, I think not for me. He sort of really chose West Tigers for the money over the loyalty to stay with Parramatta Eels. So I think he'll see it through. But I mean, fair dinkum, he could do it at any second, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could. Dummyhalf podcast, over to you.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. I think that he wants that payout. He wants that cash. He's earned it, especially over the last year and a half or so. He's really come together into his own. Obviously, that shift position wise from the front row to back row, he's lost a few kilos. I think the back row position really suits him, and I think that with Kelma Tuolangi going to the Manly Sea Eagles as well, it opens up a spot for him there. And I think that money wise, I think that's what he's going to be chasing at the moment anyway.
Yeah, look, I agree with both of you guys, as stated before. But much like what Sam said as well, if it happened, don't be surprised. I mean, obviously, money is a big thing. Money does make the world go around. But in saying that, again, how many games, do the Tigers lose in order for him to change his mind? I don't know. But we'll see in due time. But yeah, I agree with both of you guys. All right, this one here, the last one before we get into the chat of the week. Dolphins to sign a big name before Magic round. HTB or not for me?
I think they will hold the ball. I think hold the ball on that one. Reason why, I think when Magic Round comes about, there's going to be a promotion of the Redcliffe Dolphins, I think, on either the Saturday or the Sunday. They'll just be present. Wayne Bennett will be there. The CEOs will be there trying to push the red and the whites. And wouldn't it be fascinating and wouldn't it be extraordinary if they came out and said Kalen Ponga for $55.5 million to come up to Redcliffe Dolphins for a couple of years? No, I actually like that. I like that, and I've never even considered it before, bro. Hold the ball.
Yep. Okay. Dummyhalf podcast. Over to you, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. Unfortunately, I have to disagree with you there. I'm gonna say not for me, just because I think that the recruiting sort of hole they've been in, I don't see the Magic Round. It is great promotional wise, but I think that if anyone's going to benefit off that promotion, it's probably going to be the Brisbane Broncos, in my opinion. That's not to say that they won't. They definitely could. It's just, in my opinion, I think that they're kind of in a recruiting hole at the moment where players are a little bit uncertain as to whether or not, you know, the Dolphins are a viable franchise, especially in the NRL. Obviously, imagine the backlash they could face if their first season isn't successful. The players are in the spotlight. So yeah, I'm not confident they're going to land a big name before Magic Round.
All right. Look, for me, I sort of hear where you're coming from, but I'm also hearing where Sam's coming from. I think I'm leaning personally more to, you know, the HTB here. I'm hearing names, right? These Munster in the mix there, these Ponga. Unfortunately, these Reece Walsh there. Will they sign all these players? I'm not too sure. But look, to be fair with you, it is a very, I hear that the deals are very enticing. They're very player friendly, if you understand what I mean. So look, I personally want to be surprised. So yeah, for me personally, HTB. I do see a big name signing before we get into Magic Round or around then at least. All right. So thank you again, guys, for being part of the segment there. Now we're into the NRL chat. And look, to be fair, a lot of this news here, particularly now that it's a Wednesday heading into Thursday, it's probably been a bit recycled. But I'm saying that always pays to, you know, hear people's opinions on it anyway. Yeah. So the first one here is the infamous, Mitch Barnett on Chris Smith. So over to you first, Dummyhalf podcast. Thoughts on a 6-week ban? Is it justified? Would you have gone longer, shorter? On it?
Look, I think you have to look at the Latrell Mitchell incident with Joey Marnie last year. It does provide a little bit of context, and I think that Latrell's hit, I think the outcome was a little bit more devastating, obviously, for Joey Marnie with the eye socket and everything like that, but that was an accident, in my opinion. It looked like an accident. There was no reason for him to do that with, you know, heinous intent, and he got 6 weeks for that. And if you're going out of your way to a player that was a decoy, didn't have the ball, was facing the other way, put your forearm or your elbow, whatever it was, right into his neck or the chin area, I think that, you know, brain fade or not, I just think that's unacceptable. I think that 6 weeks is good, but if you'd gone 7 or 8, I honestly wouldn't have given it a second thought.
Okay, your thoughts on it, Sam?
I would have gone a little bit tougher on it, mate. I think Dummyhalf podcast made a great point in referencing the Latrell Mitchell suspension. I completely agree with him on that aspect too. I think he should have faced at least 9 weeks. And isn't it funny? And I sort of want to evolve the question as well. If Chris Smith walked away with a broken jaw, would the suspension be longer, sort of thing? But as it is now, I would have said 9 weeks at the very minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Look, guys, I might have a probably more extreme take on this, but only because for me, look, I'm not sure how you guys sort of view it, but I view it as a king hit. No offense to anyone who may think otherwise, but you're walking up to someone unprovoked and you just hit them right in the jaw, in the neck, wherever it is, and you basically dropped them. Granted, thankfully, Chris Smith's okay, but you do that out in public, you know your ass is getting arrested. You know what I mean? You're getting put in jail, right? There's no two ways about it. So for me, in that contextual sense, obviously we can look at the Latrell or Joe Manu incident, but for me, it's more like bring it to real life. And for me, this may sound a bit rough, but I would have gone the season. We can't be promoting this type of stuff. Yeah, I would have. You can't. You can't be walking around to players and just hitting them willy nilly. And to me, that sets an example. That sets the tone for all right. So if you do it 6 weeks, you know, it's not the worst punishment. Like 6 weeks, man. I don't know. For considering society in itself, these king hit campaigns going around, trying to teach people not to do that rubbish, and yet that happens. And again, I know I'm not saying he swung and he punched him full power, but again, he walked up to him. It was a dog hit. It was a cheap shot. Regardless of who it was, doesn't matter if it was a Knights player, a Warriors player, I'd be having the same stance. Any one of your teams is the same thing. Doesn't matter. The point is, what he did to me just warrants a season. I don't know. I just don't like seeing that crap. Personally, doesn't matter who the player is. I just don't like it. That's my own opinion there. But over to the next one. And sorry, guys, I will get down to the comments. My apologies. I reckon, look, Sam Revill here might like this one. So Jeremiah Nanai is the hottest target going around. We know about teams from, different, apparently 6 to 7 clubs are interested in this 19-year-old. He's 19 years old. He looks like he's about 28, 29, but he's only 19 years old. Does he stay with the Cowboys? What are your thoughts on it, Sam? Or does he go? Give us your thoughts on it.
Oh, thank you very much, mate, for asking the question, bro. He probably is the hottest young piece of talent walking around at the moment. And however, I do want to say that I still think he's, even though he put in a 4 to 5 star performance against the Brisbane Broncos this past Sunday, he's still just a little bit unproven in my eyes. He's not a blockbusting second rower, but you can see that he's got some great ball handling skills, and his defense certainly needs more working on it as well. So for the time being, I can see the potential in him. He's just still a little bit unproven, and I think he is going to stay with the North Queensland Cowboys for sure, bro. Bring it on.
Okay. Dummyhalf podcast, your thoughts on Nanai, and does he stay or does he go?
I think I agree with Sam that he's a little bit unproven in that sense. Obviously, a few defensive issues and things like that. But you have to remember, he still is a young kid. He's still a teenager. His body's still maturing. He's still growing into his frame. He's still got to thicken out. And he's still got to sort of get used to that contact with grown men, and that sort of thing. So I think he's only going to get better and better. Obviously, he's explosive. He's got that. Maybe not the ball running's not quite there, but he's got that athleticism in the open field to really make things happen. And I think that whilst I can see him staying with the Cowboys, I think that a team like the Redcliffe Dolphins or one of those teams that are struggling for talent could definitely swoop in on him before the Cowboys get a chance to keep him. Yeah.
Okay. So there may be a bit of a tug of war there. Look, for me personally, I think Cowboys fans, you guys should be pretty happy for somebody who's doing something like this early, especially like a forward as well, right? Like this guy could grow into something really big. Like, I'm not going to say he is going to be the next one, but he could be like a Tamalolo, and from that sort of ilk, but probably even in a different sense, in his own way, So you guys should be pretty excited for the talent you guys have, and I think personally now. I want to sort of pump the brakes here just quickly, but you guys do have a lot of good talent coming through in the forwards there, and that's enough for me. All right, so next topic. All right, so Payne Haas, is he worth $1 million? And then the second question on top of that, are props worth the $1 million? Over to you first, Dummyhalf podcast.
Yeah, look, for me, props, no. For me, Payne Haas, yes. I think that, and I know that sounds a little bit like a paradox, but we've never seen a front rower do what Payne Haas has been doing, like Glenn Lazarus, Shane Webke. I don't care. No, they've never been doing what Payne Haas has been doing. You look at the athleticism, the strength, the speed, the ball playing, the defense, the motor, all of it. He's got everything. I can't name one weakness to his game, if I'm being honest. I think that. In the same sense that I think Payne Haas is worth $1 million, I don't think props are worth $1 million. I think halves, 5/8, halfbacks, fullbacks, okay, potentially hookers, I think are all worth that. But I don't think a forward, just unfortunately with you've seen the Jason Taumalolo contract age terribly, unfortunately. I just don't think that a front rower is worth quite that much money. And I think that in order to continue to attract star players to your club, I don't think you can afford to pay him $1 million.
Okay. Over to you, Sam Revill. Your opinion?
One of these days, maybe within the next 4 years, he could be. But for the time being, I don't think he is worth $1 million. I definitely can see the argument for. But for me personally, even Matt Scott, one of the great forwards of the new millennium, wasn't on $1 million a year. He wasn't even on 800K a season at one stage. I would not pay Payne Haas any more than 750 grand. And I would really try to emphasize to him, do you want to be known as a one club player and as an exclusive Broncos player as well? And it might be a little unfair, lads, but the Broncos have not had great seasons over the past 2.5 years, have they? And Payne Haas has been right at the forefront of it too. So do you give a player that's been a part of a wooden spoon era of the club $1 million a year to keep him? I'd probably suggest you've got to take a little bit of a haircut.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll throw something else as well. I'm not sure how deeply you guys do analyze his games in Origin, but obviously in Origin in New South Wales, he's amongst a whole heap of stars. Do you guys think he performs well in a New South Wales team? What are your thoughts there, just quickly? Dummyhalf podcast, over to you.
Yeah, I think he does. I think that he backs up everything he does at club level in the State of Origin arena. I think that being around good players only makes him better. I think that his role is a lot different, whereas in the Brisbane Broncos jersey, he's obviously forced to play big minutes, forced to play 60, even 70 minutes in every game. And in Origin, he tends to come off the bench a lot. And I think that whilst the roles are remarkably different, his impact on the field is the same. I think that he's just as good in an Origin jersey as he is for Brisbane personally. Everyone might not see that, but for me, that's what I see anyway.
Okay, fair enough. Over to you, Sam. Your view on that.
Oh, mate, State of Origin question in bloody March, April, fair income. Yeah, I think he's been actually rather impressive. I think, he had that big battle with Big Tino a couple of years ago too. He's certainly an Origin player, and I mean, if he continues to play Origin, he's gonna make up the numbers and continue to get $1 million a year come hell or high water. Yeah, for sure. He's a great State of Origin player.
Okay, no, cool stuff. Next one here, guys. I think this is just more so put your shoes, put yourself in their shoes. Why would you, as a player, go to the Dolphins? Over to you, Sam Revill.
Oh, mate, maybe for that bloody King's merchandise, maybe. I would want to go to learn under the greatest coach that's ever laced a pair of boots in Coach Wayne Bennett. I would want to potentially be a part of a year where you win a premiership in your first ever season. I would want to buy into that fact. I would be so excited, and to just reset yourself, even if you're not in good form when you come into the club and play in round one. You can get yourself into good form. You can reset yourself and start all over again, man. I'm Mr. Dummyhalf podcast sort of said it a couple of minutes ago that they're sort of not signing a lot of players, and I do still find it kind of extraordinary that they are sort of struggling, considering how much upside there really is to the Redcliffe Dolphins, who I think are going to be an extreme success. But primarily, to answer the question, I would go up there to learn under the greatest coach that's ever been in Wayne Bennett.
Nice, I like that one there. Dummyhalf podcast, your thoughts on it, bro?
Yeah, I have to agree with the Wayne Bennett factor. I think that if you've ever played rugby league or any sport for that matter, having a great coach is instrumental to your success as a player. And I think that Wayne Bennett, I think that I understand completely where Sam's coming from, calling him the greatest coach. I think that for me personally, I might be a little bit biased, but I think Craig Bellamy is just there, just a little bit higher, or if not, he will be. I think. But I do think that the coach, and also I think an underrated aspect of it is the Storm boys that are going up there. Kenny Bromwich, Jesse Bromwich, Felice Carfusi. I think that learning off those Storm boys that have been in that system have been successful. I think that veteran leadership is such an underrated aspect of why I would be personally excited to go up to the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I reckon they're good answers. Yeah, for me, I mean, look, I guess you can't go too wrong there. I like Rugby League Roundup's answer. To be part of history as an inaugural player and coach, right? You sort of do set the history there in regards to what's happening there. So for me personally, yeah, either one, coach factor, the history factor, anything there plays. All right, guys. So at the moment in Melbourne Storm, there's a bit of a thing going on there regarding Munster or Hughes and who to sign. Obviously, Munster, there's a lot of rumors there regarding him and potentially going to Dolphins, or the Dolphins giving him, trying to, entice a signature. Munster or Hughes, if you had to choose between one player to stay at the Storm, who would you choose and why? And I think this is your club here, Dummyhalf podcast. So I'll give it over to you, man. What are your thoughts on it? Munster to stay or Hughes, and why?
Yeah, it's a really tough question. For me personally, I would be keeping Jerome Hughes. Now, that might be a little bit controversial, but I just think that you look at he's been a leader on and off the field. He's been consistent every week since moving, and you got to remember that he's gone through. I think he's gone through a whole position change at his time in his time in the Melbourne Storm. He wasn't even a halfback. He was a fullback for the Titans, and he was a fullback for the Titans and also the Cowboys. I think he was up there at one point as well. He's had to change his position, and he's been so successful. I love Cam Munster. Don't get me wrong. I just think that just the off the field stuff is a little bit worrying, and also just for the Melbourne Storm image. And I also think that if you just look at the on field play, I think that Cam Munster is a lot more. He's probably a lot more like flashy and probably a little bit more talented than Jerome Hughes in that aspect, but I just think he's nowhere near as consistent as Jerome Hughes is from a week-to-week basis, and that's why I personally would be keeping Jerome Hughes.
I like that analysis, actually. Sam Revill, your thoughts?
I would keep Jerome Hughes. Halfbacks are so hard to attain these days. Cameron Munster, you couldn't keep and be really confident of the next halfback or attaining a halfback. I don't even know who's coming through. What Cooper Johns would come in if Jerome Hughes were to leave Melbourne Storm. I would suggest that Jerome Hughes, I would keep Jerome Hughes over Munster.
Yeah, okay, yeah. For me personally, I mean, I guess, podcast sort of, Dummyhalf podcast, sort of touched on it. Munster is probably the more flashier, and I'll say arguably probably the more competitive one, but Hughes is definitely the go-to guy. When the chips are down, you sort of go to him. He's the more consistent player. So looking at it from those aspects, I think consistency is really important, and you touched on it as well, Sam. Finding a decent halfback is so rare. I can attest to that. I can assure you right now, finding a bloody good halfback is really tough. So I agree with you guys there. Good points to make there. All right, just on the Storm subject as well, Slater apparently to possibly coach the Storm. What are your thoughts on it, Sam Revill? Give me.
I'm going to hold the ball.
Thoughts.
I'm going to hold the ball on that one, bro. If he has a successful State of Origin series in the next couple of months, and then continues to evolve from there and maintain the coaching position for, let's say, 4 years, I reckon maybe in 5 years' time, he'll be the coach. As far as an immediate replacement for Craig Bellamy, I don't think that will happen. I think that will go to somebody else. But I think Billy Slater one day will probably coach Melbourne Storm, even at a pinch coach a completely different first-grade team as well.
Okay. Dummyhalf podcast, over to you.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like, Barry Sanders or Calvin Johnson coaching the Detroit Lions. I think that it just fits so perfectly with everything they've achieved at the club. I do think that, he does need to get some first-grade experience, whether that's State of Origin, whether that's, another club, before, stepping in to replace arguably the greatest coach that we've ever seen, Craig Bellamy. I think that's a tall order. But I do think that, he's been involved with Craig. He's been in the systems. He's played with him for years. He's been a successful player. He's played at every level of the game, every facet of the game. And so I think that if anyone's, to step in behind Craig Bellamy, I'd say Cameron Smith or Billy Slater, that's for sure. So I like it.
Okay. Look, for me personally, I have no opinion on it. It's a Storm, so I'll just leave it at that. All right. I'll be sure. Okay. So I've got a game here. It's called Who You Picking. So basically, the point of this game here is that I will give you guys a team, and then obviously the team has to consist of current players, and you have to give me one person who you pick from that team. So, for example, if I put down, I don't know, the Broncos, you give me an example. Say Payne Haas. Why would you pick Payne Haas first? Why would you pick, Farnworth first? Stags, right? So before you're talking about Origin and all that stuff, how about I throw you straight into the here, Sam, you first. Out of the current crop of Aussies, who would you pick first to represent Australia, and why?
James Tedesco. Yeah. James Tedesco. I think James Tedesco is the best player in the NRL today. I think his support play is absolutely immense. I think his leadership is second to none, and he's still learning, and he's still going to be a much greater force than what he is currently in the next couple of years. So I would choose Tedesco immediately.
Okay. Dummyhalf podcast, your turn.
Look, I want to say Nathan Cleary, but he hasn't technically played for Australia yet, I'm pretty sure. So he wouldn't, and plus he hasn't proved himself in that arena yet. I do think that he's a generational talent, though, so that might, we might have to be talking about him later. But I think that personally for me, it's either James Tedesco or it's Daly Cherry Evans for me. I know that Daly Cherry Evans hasn't exactly been, a 5-star player as of recent, but you got to remember last year. He took the team to the finals, obviously off the back of Tommy Trbojevic as well. But he had a career year, and I think that he provides so much leadership to these younger players, and I think that he definitely has earned his spot in that side over the past 10 years. That's for sure.
Okay, and just a side note as well. Don't worry too much about the fact that they've never represented the said team. So long as they're eligible, basically, is the way we'll play this. But yeah, no, I like it. For me, look, I think I'll put forward here. I think I might go. This will be tough. I bet you probably last year we would have probably all said Tom Trbojevic, probably all in unison. But things are a bit different this season, so we'll see how it goes. I might even ask this again later on and see who you'll pick as first. But for me, I think I'll go for. I still think Jake Trbojevic. Jake Trbojevic. When it comes to big games, big time, he's always ready. He's always consistent. I don't really look at his form as manly as I don't take it for anything when he puts on that Origin jersey, and unfortunately that Aussie jersey, he plays really well. So I'll definitely go for Jake Trbojevic for me. All right, another team as well, guys. Just give me your thoughts on this one here. Currently, as it stands, for Kiwis, who would your first player be for the Kiwis? Over to you, Sam Revill.
I would choose Sean Johnson. I think it would be such an amazing moment to see him back playing as halfback for the Kiwis. I believe there is a mid-year test happening still. I believe. I could be wrong. But Sean Johnson would be the first player I choose to play for New Zealand, represent New Zealand.
Okay, so Dummyhalf podcast.
Look, I'd love to say RTS, but unfortunately he's in Union now, so we can't use his name anymore. But it'd be a toss-up between, I'd probably say Joseph Manu. I think that his versatility, the impact he brings to that side is immense. You see it at the Roosters, how versatile he is. Whether he plays centre, wing, fullback, 5'8", wherever, he always has an impact. I think that he's like a stalwart in that New Zealand Kiwi side now. Even though he hasn't been there for that long, I think that he's a New Zealand icon, especially in the NRL, and I think that he would definitely deserve the first pick for me personally.
Yep. Look, I like your choices too. The Sean Johnson one is an interesting one. Obviously the nostalgia and just that longevity, which he's earned. Look, for me, I think much like Hooker Time Rugby, as he said, I think I'll go for Brandon Smith. You need a decent hooker, and to be fair, he's a good hooker going around. In terms of offense and defense, he's someone I'll definitely pick. But for me, definitely picking Brandon Smith. Now we go over to the Origin Arena. So, your thoughts on Queen? Who would your first Queenslander be? Who would you pick and why? Over to you, Dummyhalf podcast.
For me personally, it's probably Harry Grant. I think that you've seen just how successful he's been in that arena. He's only young. He hasn't had a lot of time to mature and grow into that representative role just as of yet. But you've seen how influential he's been in that side. And I think there's been a lot of debate over who's the better Melbourne Storm hooker. And whilst everyone has an opinion on that, I think that in the Origin arena, we've only seen Harry Grant, and I think that Harry Grant's. If you said Harry Grant was the better hooker in Melbourne, I wouldn't disagree with you, just because of how immense he's been in that role. I think that unfortunately for Reid Marnie, as good as he is, he's not touching that Queensland 9 anytime soon.
Okay, your thoughts on it, Sam Revill?
Mate, Get Big Red Corey Horsburgh into the State of Origin Queensland
Yes.
side, coming off the
Yes.
bench. I think in the next 18 months to 2 years, I think he's going to be he's going to be a very good player. He's good now. I think he's going to be very good in the next couple of years, man. Get Big Red Corey Horsburgh into the Queensland side, mate. I really like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. Look, well said. I like he's fiery, he's tough, he's the redhead. We all love redheads. And he's just one tough son of a gun. And he's got a big future ahead of him. He just, in terms of that Queensland mold, he just fits it, I think, anyway. He's got that look, that temperament, that roughness, that edge about him that just screams Queenslander. And what do you know? Lo and behold, he is a Queenslander. So, yeah, for me, I agree. I'll definitely pick him for sure. But sorry, just quickly on who I'd pick as well. Look, I think for me, Dane Gagai, you can't go past the experience. What he's showing at the moment in the Knights is insane. For a dude who's about 30 plus years old, just looks sharp, so ready. Obviously, in that center position too, he's such a striking force. And to be fair with you, even during that Queensland dominance, whenever Gagai played for the Knights, he was almost silent, nowhere to be seen. But as soon as he put on that Queensland jersey, as a Blues fan, he was the most annoying person to see with the ball. All right, he was annoying. So I just think he's a good get, and yeah, I'll pick him first personally. All right, guys. So over to you, Sam Rivels. Just giving you your thoughts on this here. New South Wales.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's going to sound biased, but I genuinely believe that Reece Robson, hooker for the Cowboys, could be a real high-quality representative player in the next 3 or so years. I'd love to stick him into the squad. He doesn't need to be named initially, but as 18th man, gee whiz, with Reece Robson getting the experience of being in the Origin arena, his tackling is sensational. His darts out of dummy half are scything. I would have Reece Robson in my squad, mate, for sure. Definitely get him that Origin experience and go back to clubland and imagine what he'd be like with that Origin experience under his belt, I reckon.
Okay, I like it. Dummyhalf podcast, over to you.
For me, it's Nathan Cleary. I think that, look, I'm not going to, I've seen comparisons to Andrew Johns, and I'm not going to go anywhere near as far as to say that, but I think that he's probably the most exciting halfback prospect we've seen since probably, I don't know if I'd say Andrew Johns. Has been some other really talented players in there, but in terms of what he's achieved at a young age, I think he's not even 24 yet, or he might have just turned 24. I think that he's on a sky-high career trajectory, and I think that he's proved himself in the Origin arena game in, game out, that he belongs there and that he is an elite halfback and probably, in my opinion, the best in our game. So I think that for me, Nathan Cleary is probably my first pick for the Blues.
I like it. Might be controversial here, but just going on your point there. So I've seen the stats for both Andrew Johns and Nathan Cleary lined up, and Nathan Cleary beats him. That's all I'm going to say. I'll say no more.
Yeah.
He actually does beat him, though, stat for stat. At that age, Nathan Cleary is actually miles ahead of him. But I'll say no more than that. All right, so for me personally, and again, hey, guys, thank you for commenting and stuff. My apologies that I'm not sort of reading them. Sorry, clicking them and all that stuff, so my apologies. Yeah, look, for me, I think I'm going to have to agree with you couldn't go wrong either way. Reece Robson is someone I personally think should, and I actually do agree with you there, because there are definitely moments in this game where I like it, and looking at it from the Origin context, I think he'll fit in that arena. To be fair with you, I think the Blues should probably start. This is not an Origin chat, so I'll keep it brief, but the Blues should definitely try and juggle more with their hookers, I think, to be fair with you. And I think Reece Robson will definitely line up. For me personally, I think I'll go with Tom Trbojevic. Again, similar to his brother, when it comes to the big arena, I think he'll be there. I think he will get the job done. And for me, we can't forget that, because last year and again, form is, I guess, unfortunately, something we sort of ride on. But yeah, I think he'll be a good one there. All right, guys, we're just nearly sort of coming to the end here. Before we get to the tips, that is, I'm going to give you 3 more teams, yeah, and then we'll go into the next sort of segment.
Yeah, man.
So, sorry, guys, apologies. Tigers. Sam Revill, over to you.
A brand new board. That's what I'd freaking do, mate. I think the board for the West Tigers need to be blown up, just quietly. But as far as on-field players go, they need a fair dinkum prop. They need a genuine leader, something like if they could in a different dimension, like a James Fisher-Harris that comes in and just says, boys, this is the way. Because unfortunately, as much as I love him and adore him as an ex-North Queensland Cowboys player, James Tarmo just has not done what's been required or has been asked of him, and that's to be a fair income leader. That's putting in the hard yards. And I'm not saying he's not putting in hard yards, but I think someone like a no bullshit attitude, like real mongrel attitude, like James Fisher-Harris would be sensational for the West Tigers.
Okay, someone, Dummyhalf podcast, yourself?
Stefano Tokomani for me. I think that I've seen a lot of comparisons to Payne Haas, and honestly, he's not obviously on that level just yet, but you see the athleticism, the motor, the defense, the unrelenting attitude. I think that there is some similarities there. I think that in a god-awful West Tigers side, I think that he is a bit of a shining light there. And I think that, unfortunately, for the Tigers' performances, they're kind of bringing him down, in my opinion. I think that the amount of success that he could bring to a side is immense, and I think that, unfortunately, for the West Tigers, they're just unable to utilize his X factor at the moment.
Hold the ball, man. Hold the ball. Is this to who you would cherry pick from any other side to pop in, or who you would choose to put into my own team?
Yeah. Oh no. No, that's cool. So if, say for example the Tigers there. So basically it's just about who would you pick in that squad that's already playing and why as the first draft pick, basically. Yeah.
Well, then, apologies, mate. I'm talking about James Fisher-Harris, and that's not even the bloody question. Out of that side, Adam Dewey. I think Adam Dewey in at 5'8" is going to be the player. I can see him playing finals football for the West Tigers in the next 2 or so years, 100%. Man. So Adam Dewey.
Yeah. Look, I like your answers, but mine, I want to throw you guys another. I think I'll throw you guys an ace. Alex Toll for me, Mr. 1%. I just love the way he goes about his business. Unfortunately, he hasn't scored a meat pie yet, but I love watching him play. And similar to what you said just before about Adam Dewey and finals footy, even Otoi Kamanu, I see those three guys sticking it out together. And honestly, if things go well for them, I do see them playing finals footy, definitely. You know, the thing about the Tigers, they have the talent. It just has not worked out. It's a very sad story. And unfortunately, the media love to beat up on that, man. It's actually sad to see, I think, anyway. But in saying that, you know what? It is what it is. All right, guys. And just for time, I think we'll go one more team before we just get into the, I guess, a little bit of the chat and then go into the quick finish off with the tips there. This will be an interesting one. Warriors. All right. Dummyhalf podcast, over to you.
None other than Adam Fanua-Blake. I think that the impact that he's had on that team in the short amount of time that he's been there has been immense. I think that he's kind of established himself as probably a top 5 prop in our game, to be honest. I think that, he doesn't give you the bullocking runs of a James Fisher-Harris, but his ball playing, his defense, he's actually very mobile for a big man as well. I think that his footwork and things like that really make him stand out. And I think that just the quick ruck speed that he generates, just with his footwork and his ball playing, I think is immense to that side. And I think that they've been a much worse place without him, that's for sure.
Okay. I like it. Sam Revill, over to you.
Yeah, man. Rocco Berry, bro. I think ever since he'd made his debut, I think he's just the future of, or one of the pieces to the future of your club. I think Rocco Berry is so exciting. He's got so much potential. At the moment, Warriors fans are sort of putting him, in the under the third degree. But I don't think it's warranted. I think Rocco Berry is someone I would instantly look at.
I just want to side note. I appreciate you bringing that up. Like, yeah, man, respect to that. Like, cool. Like, you stand with the fans, right? I like that. And yeah, I agree with you. It's not warranted as well. So yeah, good on you for picking that up. Look, for me, you can't go past, Walshy baby, Reece Walsh, baby goat, Mr. Blue himself, the golden child. Look, you know where I'm getting at. In terms of what we need, in terms of spark, I'll even go as further as to say in terms of fan engagement, we all like watching our X Factor players, right? You, for example, as you know, you have your Dummyhalf there. I'm sure he's an X Factor player that the Cowboys just love watching. Someone who just draws the crowd in. And for us, it's Reece Walsh as well. I'll pick him because he adds so much to our attack. Sure, these are defensive lapses, but in saying that, it is what it is. I'm not going to get too caught up in that. But for what he produces and provides, at least when he plays, I know this comes down silly, but at least when he plays, he's that glimmer of hope that we'll win a game. So I'll go with that. Reece Walsh for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, got to go with him. All right. So, guys, we'll get into the sort of chat here. And I think I'll go one question before we head into the tips. We'll give our quick tips and then we'll head off. Tackling or attacking, what is more pivotal? This is just in context to Sam Walker and I think Brent Reed as well. Brent Reed, sorry. And Benji Marshall had a bit of an argument regarding that. Defense or offense? Which is more important and why? Over to you, Sam Revill.
Yeah, I think defense is more important than attack because if you don't keep up your stamina in the defense, you can easily let players just barge over you and they don't even have to do much to attack and score tries. So I think defense, attention to detail in the defensive line and keeping your stamina up in that defensive line is more important than attack, mate.
Yep. Over to you, Dummyhalf podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with defense. They say defense wins championships, and that couldn't be more true. I think if you look at the Penrith Panthers premiership last year, their offense really just sort of just went off a cliff towards the end of the year. They didn't look like the same side. Obviously, Nathan Cleary's injury didn't help with that, but you saw them, especially in that gritty semi-final against the Storm. They managed to hold them out just, and the defensive attitude is just second to none. And I think that the approach and the discipline and the the overall priority you place on defense will really test you as a club and as a player. And I think that, in my opinion, defense is much more important than attack.
Okay. Look, for me, I don't know. I just feel like so many teams put so much emphasis on defense, but some teams just don't do it right. I don't think. But some teams are really good at attacking, right? I don't know. Look, I think for me, I would have to go with. Look, I think ultimately I'll go with defense. I mean, yeah, that's right. It does win games. But in saying that, though, defense is such a high caliber thing, and I think it's more important to have good defense than it is to have, good attack. Because if you have bad defense, forget about it, But if you have okay attack to brilliant attack, that's great. It'll work in your favor. But when your defense bad, it's we look, it is what it is, right? Like, it's not really hard to, I don't know. I think I'll say defense. All right, guys. So we're just going to finish it off now. So we've got the tips here, round 4 tips. Again, just quick fire stuff. Over to you, Sam Revill. Titans versus Tigers. Who wins and why?
Gold Coast Titans are going to win this one by 13 plus, but not overly large. I think it'll be like a 14-point victory, something along the lines of 28 points to 12 or thereabouts, mate. Anytime try scorer, I think I'll have to barrack for Jermaine Azarko, the brand new price recruit from Brisbane Broncos, to barge over for a try.
Awesome, as I like it. Dummyhalf podcast, you, brother?
Yeah, it's going to be Titans, I think, by a fair amount, I think. And I just think that the Tigers have just shown exactly why, unfortunately, they're mocked in the media, and unfortunately why their coach is constantly in the hot seat. And I think that, the times will get it done. If I had to put an anytime try scorer, I'm going to go with a bit of a different flavour. I'm going to say Toby Sexton.
Okay, I like it. For me, I'm going to go with Titans. I guess 13 plus. I guess anytime try scorer for me, probably go Dave Fifita, I reckon. In saying that though, how desperate are the Tigers? And if they win, should we be surprised because of how desperate they are? I personally wouldn't be surprised if they won because psychologically they're against it, right? There's a lot of things happening, and you touched on it as well, Dummyhalf podcast. A lot of media beat up as well. For me, look, Titans win it, but if Titans win it, sorry, but if Tigers win, I probably won't be too surprised, but that's just me. All right, next game, we see the Sharks against the Knights. Over to you, Sam Revill.
I think this is going to be a great contest. The big Aiden Tolman coming off the bench in his 300th game. He's going to score an anytime try. And the Cronulla Sharks are going to win this one 24 points to 18.
Awesome, as yourself, Dummyhalf podcast.
I'm going to say Sharks 1-12 and Ronnie Mulatalo anytime try scorer.
Okay, I agree. Sharks 1-12. Even though Caleb Pong is back, I still think the Sharks fight is just too strong, too good at this moment. And against a Knights team that's sort of up and down, I mean, granted they had a big loss due to circumstance, I guess, on Sharks for me personally. We go into the grand final rematch. Everyone's been saying it. But on top of that as well, Nathan Cleary comes back, and we all know that it's a big factor. Now, what are your thoughts on this one here, Sam Revill? Panthers, Rabbitohs, why?
I think it's going to be a huge factor, Nathan Cleary coming back, and he will score himself a try upon return. And they'll win this game by 8 points on Friday night.
Okay, yep, yourself, Dummyhalf podcast.
Look, I'm going to go and say that the Panthers make a statement here. I think that the Rabbitohs' tough start to the season is going to bite them in the behind, and I think that I'm going to go Panthers 13+. I think it'll probably be about a 14, 15, 16-point victory, and I think that I'm going to go Isaac Tago anytime try scorer.
Yep, I want to go Penrith Panthers here. 12 to 1, sorry. I reckon Nathan Cleary to score a try. All right, next game here, guys. Warriors and Broncos. Sam Revill, over to you.
Saturday afternoon. The bounce back practice is too much to tonight, right? And this Broncos will smash them. I think they'll be playing out. Saturday afternoon is anytime try scorer. I'll go Disney.
Yep. Yourself, Dummyhalf podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's going to be close. I'm going to go with Broncos. Broncos probably 1-12. I think Tony Staggs bounces back and scores himself a neat player.
Oh, ye of little faith. Oh, ye of little faith. I'm going to be going for the Warriors here. 6-12. Anytime try scorer. I reckon Reece Walsh in a good cracking game. But look, in saying that, obviously, we can't underestimate the psychology behind the Broncos. They absolutely got torn to shreds by your Cowboys in a game that probably many didn't see happening that way. A derby's supposed to be very tight and tense. You guys made them look like they're an under-12s team, man. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. Credit to you guys for making them look, not great at all. But Warriors for me. All right, Manly versus Raiders, and these an HTB. My HTB for the week is that Manly are going to win. That's my HTB guarantee. So in saying that, your thoughts, Sam, Manly or Raiders, and why?
Guarantee in this game, I reckon this is the hardest game of the round to tip, bro. I wouldn't be confident in any way, shape, or form. For me, man, falling on one side of the coin or the other. I'm going to tip the Canberra Raiders, though, man. I think they've just shown a pinch more over the opening few rounds than what Manly have. And anytime try scorer, I think I'll go Matt Tomoko. I think he's been sensational to start the year.
Yeah, nice. Dummyhalf podcast, over to you, bro.
I'm going Manly 1-12. I think it'll be a close affair, that's for sure. And Sam stole my anytime try scorer, but that's okay. If it's not Matt Tomoko, I think it might be. I'm going to go with Tom Trbojevic just for a bounce back game after last week.
Yep. Look, for me, I love this game, not only for the players, but for the coaches. You got Dez against Sticky. You know what I mean? Like in terms of polarizing, controversial figures, these guys are definitely up there, the higher echelon. Look, for me, the HTB guarantee is Manly to win, so I can't go anywhere else. But in saying, I think 1-12, anytime try scorer, I think Tom Trbojevic, for me personally, granted, both teams just seem to, I think, both teams have been okay. But in saying that, I want to look at the desperation, the home game advantage over, it's over Mudgee, but still, I'm still going to be going for Manly in this one here. All right, Cowboys versus Roosters. Who and why? Sam Revill, over to you, bro.
Cowboys 13+. Hammersmith WI could go for a double. They're going to win this one 30 points to 10. It's going to be a great win. Cowboys, no, let me dial it back. Cowboys, I think, have been the better side to start the season. They honestly have. Cowboys have completed the best out of any other club to start the year. The Roosters are the fourth worst completion rate side in the competition. Their penalties, their 6-agains are way worse than us. Our scrambling is better defensive-wise, and they have missed more tackles, the eastern suburbs, than us. And look, I don't think it's going to be a huge factor because I think they're such a well-run side. But Trent Robinson not being there could be a factor, but I don't think it will be. But it is something to take note of. But I do think Cowboys are going to get the upset and win this one by 4 points on the back of a Hammersmith WI Fido try.
Well, hey, look, at least you know the Roosters have an excuse to look to, if they lose against the Cowboys. Over to you, Dummyhalf podcast.
I'm going to go Roosters 1-12. It's going to be a close game, that's for sure. Anytime try scorer for me would have to be... this is just such a hard game to pick, honestly. I think I'm just going to go with James Tedesco. I think that, one of his forwards makes a line break. He's up there in support like he always is. I think that it'll just be a generic James Tedesco try, and I think that the Roosters will just slip away with the win.
Yeah, look, for this game here, I'm really undecided. In my tips, I did, to be honest, tip the Roosters. But to be fair with you, after doing it, the more I think about it, in terms of form, like Cowboys are looking the better team, to be fair. But in saying that, I think this will be a good test for them. Broncos, well, no. But again, you've got to sort of throw form out the window, get back to reality. Here we go. It's going to be a big test. For me, though, look, like I said, I did tip Roosters, so I'm going to stick with him. But in saying that, though, I do it with a bit of, look, I'm not stable in my thought there, to be honest with you guys, but I want to go Roosters anyway, 6-12. Anytime try scorer, I think big Jason Domalolo, man, to crack over that line. He'll be running over a few of the, other Islander boys there in the Roosters, so get ready for it. All right, Storm versus Bulldogs. Sam Revill, over to you, bro.
Melbourne Storm will win this, but not extravagantly. I still think it'll be 13 plus. Anytime try scorer, I will back Cameron Munster to score a try. Bulldogs, I think they'll make this excuse the pun, I don't mean it. I think they'll make it a bit of a dogfight. And I think the Melbourne Storm will run away with it in the last 15 minutes. So something like a scoreline of 22 points to 8 sort of thing. Melbourne Storm.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. And I love the pun, man. We are all about puns over here, HTB. All right, OC.
Melbourne Storm 460 plus.
Yes.
I think that every player in the field is probably going to get at least 4 or 5 tries. No, I'm joking. I think that the Storm will run away with it, though. I'm thinking that it'll probably be a 15, 16, even potentially 20-point victory. And as for any time try score, I'd probably back Jason Taumalolo. I just think that Brent Naden and Braden Burns aren't like the most well-renowned defensive centers, and I think that Justin Olm's going to make him pay for it.
Oh, Justin Olm, yeah, gotcha. Look, for me personally, I'm going to go Storm here. I think it's probably everyone's tip, but I think 1-12. I think it'll be close. I can't say 30 plus personally, but it'll be close. In saying that, I'm looking out for Josh Adokar, anytime try scorer. Just watch out for him, man. It's him against his old club. You know what I mean? In terms of psych, in terms of build, in terms of hype, look for Adokar to try and sneak a bit of a meat pie, across his team. Quick question, just on this team here, on this game here only. If Bulldogs did somehow win, would you be surprised? Yes or no?
For me first, mate. I would be surprised, bro. Even though I think it's going to be a tight tussle for at least 60 minutes, I still would be incredibly surprised if the Bulldogs walked away with a win, just because Harry Grant and Brandon Smith are going to be... That's the key into stopping Melbourne. You've got to stop Brandon Smith and Harry Grant out there at dummy half. But, I'd be stunned, and I'd be super happy for him. But, yeah, I think it'd be stunning if Canterbury walked away with a victory this Sunday, mate.
Your thoughts on that quickly, Dummyhalf podcast?
Yeah, I don't see it happening personally. I think it would be a little bit of a Cinderella story, a little bit like the St. Peter's Peacocks in the March Madness NCAA basketball tourney. I don't think it's going to happen, honestly. But everyone loves an underdog. I think that Josh Adokar against his old club, I think is a great story. But personally, I don't see the Bulldogs pulling off an upset here. But if any team is going to pull off an upset, it's probably going to be the Doggies. So look forward to this game.
Awesome, I was looking forward to it too. Last game here, guys, before we jump off. Eels versus Dragons. Samuel, over to you.
Parramatta Eels are going to win this one. I know Dragons have had the wood over them over the past couple of years, but I think the Parramatta Eels are a different beast in 2022. They haven't beaten St. George Illawarra Dragons since 2019 as well. Parramatta Eels are going to win this one 1-12, and an anytime try scorer. I think he's been in pretty good form. I'll go Tom Opacek.
Okay, I like that one. Dummyhalf Podcast, over to you.
I'm going to go Parramatta Eels as well, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a Parramatta victory 1-12. As for any time try scorer, look, I think that Moses Sulis has had a quiet start to the season, but I think that he's going to bounce back in a big way and score himself a try in this game.
All right, I like it. Look, it's Sunday Arvo footy as well. Eels, I think, tend to do okay there. I reckon for me, I want to go the Eels out. Back the Eels. I reckon 13 plus there. I said it. Anytime try scorer, I think I'll go for Dylan Brown for me. Dragons will be up for it, but I think at the end it'll be too much. Eels will take a lot out of that win, but apparently they're not even that happy with their win over the Storm. So I'm just saying, be prepared if you're a Dragons fan. That's what I'm going to say. All right, guys. But in saying that, we have come to the end of the show. Peace and grease. Be well. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you all. Look, just quickly as well, Sam Revill, before you go, is there anything you want to say, please, and please promote yourself.
Oh, dude, thank you very much for the opportunity to come on. I'm coming off the bench, making my debut on your channel right now, bro. Thank you again. Dummyhalf Podcast, very nice to meet you, mate. I've seen your content as well. And to the chat, thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to come check me out, my name is just Sam Revill. And I appreciate it if you do come over and check me out. But thank you very much, and hope you all have a very nice weekend. Thank you.
Awesome, as. And over to you, Dummyhalf Podcast, before I conclude.
Yeah, just thanks to Hold the Ball again for having me. Always appreciate these conversations and engagement. Thanks to Sam. Lovely to meet you, bro. And pleasure to meet another footy fan. And it's just good to talk footy. I don't think it can be underestimated how much a good yarn can set your week up for success. That's for sure. And I think that it's something that everyone just needs to, vent about, their passion. And for us, it's obviously rugby league. So thanks to Sam for coming on, and nice to meet you. And thanks to Hold the Ball as well. Thanks to the fans for engaging. And thanks for, just everything, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
No. Say cheers. Appreciate it. Look, guys, just quickly as well before we head off, just first of all, Dummyhalf Podcast, thank you for coming. But guys, he's also an up and coming YouTuber. But in saying that, though, I do have plans to hopefully feature more regularly on my channel. As you can see, he's a great yarn. He's knowledgeable as well, and he's got the confidence as well to match with it. So definitely look forward to more of Dummyhalf Podcast appearing on HTB. And also Sam Revill, as you guys can hear, knowledgeable, polite, smart, funny, fun man, devout Cowboys fan. You can't go wrong there. Please follow his channel. He's on Instagram as well. He's a great guy to really work along with. And look, you sort of talked about your debut coming off the bench. I think it's quite clear, guys, and I think we can all say it. Dummyhalf Podcast and Sam Revill, they know how to hold the ball. Take it easy. See you guys next time.